I had an office job once. Once I was trained properly, well, I never was trained properly. Once I figured out how the process worked, what I realized was a couple things. Number one, I only worked generally about 3 hours a day. If you compiled everything that I did and squished it down, minus 1 day a week, Tuesdays, and I'll get back to that in a second, but if you squished everything down, it's probably 2.5, 3.5 hours a week. The guy that I replaced was made the manager of the operation. And his job was to manage. And he was really bad at that. In theory, he just hung out in his office. But in theory, anytime there was a really big issue that needed to be dealt with, that's what the manager was for. And to keep all the little pieces moving of the different departments, in theory. Again, once I found out how the job operated, how the systems worked, I answered the phones, I tracked the back orders, I did the delivery schedule for the delivery guys. Eventually I was put in charge of them. Did the timekeeping, the hourly, productivity in theory for the guys. Answered the phones, greeted walk-in customers, all the things you would normally do with an office job, I guess, in that particular field. But what I realized was this company didn't need both of us. Me and the man that I replaced, the quote-unquote manager, if there was something really big, he got on the phone to the owner and explained the situation and how do you want to handle this? The rest of the time, he was just an annoyance. He just milled around, asked people what they were doing, just told stories. Point being, in my 3.5 hours thereabouts that I worked every day, he could have done my job, or I could have done his. I could have managed the place. And the telltale of that is when the man went on vacation. Everybody was happier. The delivery guys always said, man, I wish you were our manager, of the branch, instead of just our direct report. Everybody had, and then he came back, and it just, the whole morale went down. The point of this is these make-work jobs, also known as bullshit jobs, because that's what they are. An author named David Graeber wrote a book on it, and the title of the book was called Bullshit Jobs. He breaks down all the little pieces and parts of basically how so many things are broken. A fascinating part of this is that the real jobs that go to support the make-believe jobs or the make-work jobs. Let's say corporate lawyers, just for example. You have to have a corporate lawyer as a business because other people have corporate lawyers. They could come after you, So we got to set up this whole infrastructure. And that corporate lawyer is, in theory, busy. So he's going to have someone to answer the phones. Another made-up job that the guy could do both, or the gal. Well, she's essentially doing the job. And maybe it gets so much that she has to hire people. I can't keep up with all the filing. So they hire someone to do the filing. And it's this whole system of nonsense make-work jobs. But the fascinating part is the systems that support that system. In theory, they're going to have an office building, and that office building is going to have to be maintained. Now, that's a real job. That office building is going to have somebody come pick up the trash. A real job. Someone's going to have to come in and clean that office building. A real job. You're getting productivity involved now. But the whole basis of it is fluff and can be done away with. The trouble with that is, if you do away with the fluff, all those support jobs are instantly gone too. Another interesting part of this is the people with the BS jobs, the make-work jobs, are getting a paycheck. And with that paycheck, they might go to the grocery store, or they might hire their house painted. Again, that's real work. That is an essential job. Even a house painter. You're protecting your house, at least temporarily, from the elements so it doesn't get destroyed so quickly. That's a real job. There is actual measurable real productivity in that. So if you take that element away, they can't afford to hire the house painter now. I don't know what they're going to do for jobs. Another interesting part of this is the substructure that gets built, because it's a big thing with any kind of management to put on their resume, or to say during a job interview or a position opens up, what have you. Oh, when I took over the department, there was only 6 people working in it. And by the time I left, there was 32. Look at how I was responsible for all of that, the whole expansion. But they've just created more and more bureaucracy and nonsense and just these fluff make-work jobs. There is no productivity involved. Take a look at your government, anywhere I assume in the world, and the bureaucracy. You hire your friend to analyze the productivity of others. Instead of doing something productive, he's going to analyze it. And this David Graeber mentioned one guy that he studied. He said, well, I don't have a BS job. I work for a bank, and I audit and analyze the productivity of the company. And he got to thinking about it, and he called him back a couple days later and said, on second thought, I do have a BS job. Because in 15 years of doing this job, all the analytical reports that I put together, the company didn't act on any of them. Which shows it's just a created position full of BS. So what's the solution to this? You can't just, you could, I guess, and it's happening. But if you basically terminate all of these fluff jobs, these BS jobs, make work jobs, you just get rid of them. How are these people going to live? And it's a huge sector of the economy. And again, all the infrastructure built up around it that is real jobs, those will be affected as well. You're not going to need as many people to pick up the trash and to do the landscaping around the building and change light bulbs and all that other stuff, because I guess office people can't change light bulbs. Anyway, so what's the solution? What are we going to do with all these people that are suddenly unemployed because we've done away with the fluff? And it's thrown out there, well, UBI, Universal Basic Income. You just pay people to stay at the house. Ultimately, it's the same thing. The difference is you're not driving to a building to go goof off for 6 of the 8 hours a day or whatever you're doing. How do I know? What makes me so confident that you're goofing off? Because I see you. During the COVID and the work from home, everybody's going to work from home. Go to the grocery store and look at all the people there grocery shopping. I don't believe that's work from home, Tim. Tina, what are you doing here? Working from home, because she can get her task done in 3 hours, and the rest of the time, hey. The argument is also made that if we had UBI, that would free up all this time to where people could be creative and explore their passions and work on things that expound the mind, expand the adventure, and live your best life. Cliche, cliche, cliche. The trouble with that is it doesn't work. And how do I know? Social Security. How many people do you know that are directly tied to disability benefits or a Social Security pension? Are they creating? And now some of them are, I understand that. But are they creating? Are they developing new strategies? Are they, starting a business? Or some of them are. Most are not. Most of them take on a payment. I got disability from the military, so I bought me a truck because I got a check coming every month that's going to pay for most of that truck. And they say, the other side of the argument is, we can't afford that. The taxpayers are going to have to pay for UBI. You can't just get money from nothing. Well, that's true. What you could do is make corporations pay a fair amount of tax. Most major, big-time corporations are paying less than 1% tax when you look at gross profit, net profit. There's so many, we do away with all those loopholes. And then those corporations can send people money for not doing anything. It's the same thing as being in the office and not doing anything. For crying in the mud, take away the Facebook and the Snapchat and the crap, all that social media stuff. Block that and see how people freak out. What difference does it make to you, Jim? You're supposed to be working. That's a lot of their day. Goofing around. And I know, I've done it. I've seen it done. I see you at the store. I see you at Lowe's. Buying materials. Is that for the office? I don't think it is. Meanwhile, the people that are doing the work, the bricklayers and the painters, the electricians and the garbage collection guys and the guys flipping the burgers, they're being mocked and made fun of. Either the guy flipping the burgers, he thinks he's worth $15 an hour. Go flip burgers. Tell me how easy it is. That is hard work, physical work. And you have grease caked on your whole, every bit of exposed skin you have from all that grease in that place. And you want to talk about a toxic work environment. Most of them not too bright, I'm just saying. And you get to hear the, just, it's like the old saying, there's two types of people in this world. Avoid them. But the point of bringing all that up was the people actually doing the work are woefully underpaid. You're going to tell me it's $17 an hour to lay brick all day? Have you ever laid any brick? It's $14 an hour to roof houses? Get up on a house top in August. Just stand there for 10 minutes and then talk to me. That's not working. Just stand up there. 10 minutes. Get up there in August. You'll see how badly they're underpaid. Yeah, they're drinking. Yeah, they're drugging. It's self-medication to deal with that brutal profession. But Tina or Jim are sitting in the air conditioning, I don't know, looking at the Facebook's marketplace. I could get a couch for $1,700. I mean, who doesn't need that? The whole system needs a revamping. Who's going to do it? I have no idea. Because nobody left competent enough to do it. You'd have to have auditors, and then now you're creating fluff. I can't be audited and answering the phone. I got to have an assistant. You're just going to build. It's like government investigations. Who's going to do that? Who's honest enough? Good luck. I would appreciate your comments. Throw them in there. I always love reading those. I do thank you for watching, and I appreciate your time. I'll see you next time.